Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For CLN, this is AceWhittles reporting. Last time, we explored allegations of police corruption based on the testimony of two known criminals, Dan and Zero Toxins. These men claimed to be hired by CLPD Commander MadGeordie as part of a setup in order to have them thrown in jail. Commander MadGeordie, however, tells a different story.
Hello, I am Commander MadGeordie of the CLPD.
So, clearly you're aware of who Dan and Zero Toxins are, correct?
I am, yes.
Okay, and so the main allegation that one of the issues that has come up here is that CLPD is aware that these guys are criminals and are hired them to help with CLPD training.
This is correct. That's correct.
Okay, is it a common practice to hire criminals?
Well, we know they have done criminal activities in the past, and at the time of having a chat with them about helping us with the training, I was unaware that Mr. Zero Toxins had an open warrant. If I knew he had an open warrant, I wouldn't have allowed him to take part.
So
obviously, with the criminal background that I have, for the type of training I was looking at doing, I thought Mr. Dan would have been the ideal candidate.
Okay. So, no, I'm not trying to insult you here, but does the CLPD do background checks on people before they hire them for a job like this?
Well, I say we do background checks. Unfortunately, at this particular instance, I didn't do a check on Mr. Zero because I hadn't contacted him. I had contacted Dan. When Dan asked if his friend could take part, without thinking, I agreed to it. So that was a mistake on my half.
Did Dan tell you exactly who his friend was that he was bringing along?
He did, yes.
Okay. Now, they've also told me that while en route to complete the job in which they were hired for, they were pulled over and arrested and put in jail for having the items they had to do the job for you. And we all understand, the recruit that pulled them over may not have known that they were there to do a job, but they seemed to have trouble understanding how it took so long for the commander to realize that they had been arrested and what for. Do you have any comment to make on that?
Well, it didn't take us that long because I responded to the call from the officer requesting backup, and I was just around the corner, so I turned up on the scene. But by this time, Mr. Zero was in cuffs on the ground, and at this point, Mr. Dan started to walk away. Now, my main concern was the suspect we had in custody. Then all of a sudden, we received gunfire. Later found out this gunfire came from Dan after one of my officers managed to sneak up on him and incapacitate him.
I see. So Dan and Zero Toxins left that out of their statement to me that they had fired on you guys during the course of the stop.
Yeah, Mr. Dan opened fire on us.
At this point, I was finding it difficult to believe the tale told by Dan and Zero Toxins. Each argument made by the criminal duo seemed to have a reasonable explanation from the commander. It called into question the entire end of the story told by the pair, as explained by Commander Geordie.
Both suspects were both charged with attempted murder. They were not charged for the illegal items they had in their possession at all, and the reason there was different jail time sentences, obviously, for Mr. Zero first, his full jail sentence should have been 1 hour 40 minutes. Now, while in the interview room with me, he cooperated. So, as standard procedure, I reduced his jail sentence by 20 minutes for his cooperation. Now, on top of that, because of the unexpected gunfire, and we had to return fire, at this point, this put Mr. Zero in a vulnerable situation because he was handcuffed on the ground and unable to get away. Now, our standard procedure is when we take a suspect into detainment, their safety is paramount. We must keep them safe at all times because when they're detained, they're in our custody and they're our responsibility. Now, because of the exchange of gunfire so close to Mr. Zero, I decided to knock an extra 30 minutes off his time. which brought his jail time right down to like half an hour.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Dan, he also cooperated within the interview procedure, and he got his standard 20 minutes taken off. But it was mainly because the fact we couldn't get Mr. Zero into a safe spot instantly that I decided to knock an extra bit of time off his jail sentence.
Zero Toxins and Dan had claimed that Dan received a harsher sentence unfairly, which does not appear to be the case. During my interview with the criminal duo, they did not mention that Dan had fired on the police during the traffic stop. Commander MadGeordie even dispelled the allegation of a cover-up.
Well, Dan actually attempted. Dan's gave me a shout out for me and asked me to come to the cell. So I approached Dan, and at first he asked me why the jail sentence was so different, and I explained to him exactly what I've just explained to you. And it was at this point he decided to blackmail by saying, let me out of prison, otherwise I'm going to go and tell you recruits you are trying to put their lives in danger, and I'm going to go to the news.
I see.
So at this point, I did not attempt to cover. At this point, I asked the recruits to leave the area, because obviously I did not want them to know that I organised training like that. Because if they know I organised training like that, anytime it may happen for real, they may think it's a training exercise and not give their best performance.
Another reasonable explanation for trying to keep things quiet from the CLPD commander. With the allegations of corruption seeming to be cleared up, I asked Commander MadGeordie and recruit FreakyClown if they would like to make statements to the civilians and criminal element of our community. Here's what they had to say.
I would like to say this to the civilians in general that, yes, the CLPD may contact you to have you assist in training. Reason being is we need a lot of the high-risk situation training to be as real as possible. Now, if we request you to do something that is highly illegal, at that point in time, once the training is over, no criminal charges will be brought against you for that training exercise.
My name is Freaky. I'm a CLPD recruit. We would be glad if they cooperated with us or give us any useful information if they feel so. If they see anything happen, they're free to report it to us. If they need help, they have questions, they can always ask us. And to the criminals, stay away from the island.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Wild allegations by wild men, dispelled by the CLPD commander. For CLN, this is AceWhittles, signing off.